Hey everyone, happy Sunday to you. I hope all is well. This video is going to cover the extra credit. I mentioned in my video yesterday I'd be releasing that. I always release that about halfway through. So here we are, right? So I'll go over each of the assignments. There's 5 of them total. They're worth up to 50 points apiece, but I'm going to go over that in a minute. The first thing you need to know, though, is you can't turn in extra credit for an assignment that you didn't turn in. So if you got a 0 on an assignment, you can't do extra credit for it. I need you to hear that because every semester I get people want to do 5 extra credit assignments and then they're disappointed when they do them and they didn't watch the video or read the instructions or whatever. So just know that if it's a 0, you can't do it. If you have a 0 on a paper, you already know how that works. I'm not going to run down that. You can turn that in anytime. So that said, there's 5 of these assignments. Each one are worth up to 50 points. That doesn't guarantee you're going to get 50. I'm going to grade them, so you can't just turn in. I mean, you're going to work for these. They're not just give me points. Well, some of them are, honestly, really, if we're being honest. But some of them are not. So the way it works is if you have let's say on one of your papers, you got a 90 out of 100 and you want to get that grade up to 100, do an extra credit assignment. You'll get the 10 points, I'm sure, just for turning it in, quite honestly, even graded. So you won't get 10 points on this assignment and 40 on another. You'll get that one, it goes to one assignment, meaning if you got a 90 out of 100, you'll get 100. Right? If you got a 50 out of 100 and you turn in an extra credit assignment and get 50 points on it, you'll turn that grade into 100 out of 100. If you got a 40 out of 100, you turn in an assignment that's worth 50 points, you'll get a 90 out of 100. That's how that works, right? So it's up to 50 points, but each assignment is only good for one assignment. I'm not going to try to divvy it all up and do all that. Look, with 30 people, that's impossible for me to do. So there's that. And it's all explained right here in the extra credit. If you'll go to D2L, open up the extra credit tab. It's available now where you can see it. It's under peer shared resources right before week 1. In the content table of contents there, and all 5 assignments are listed. So let's start with the first one. It's research I just hit something. Sorry. Let me jump back here. Sorry, guys. It's one of those days, I guess. One of those mornings. I'm trying to get back there. Bear with me. Okay. So, extra credit number 1 is research any drug, illicit or legal, and complete a 2 to 3 page paper with key information regarding the chosen drug, i.e. the history up to present day, how it affects society, how to treat an individual using this particular drug, etc. Those are just guidelines. Don't answer those questions necessarily, but just the guidelines. A minimum of 3 scholarly resources. Your textbook should be 1. All assignments, and this part here, that's the assignment, a 2 to 3 page paper, just kind of like you did with your meeting papers, only you need 3 resources. All these are more of research papers than they are opinion papers. But all of them will say this: all assignments are worth up to 50 points. This is just what I was explaining, and will apply to your grade up to the 1,000-point mark. Look, if you have 100, I can't give you any extra credit. I mean, there's just nowhere for me to add it. One extra credit assignment will increase your lowest completed grade up to the max points allowed for that grade. For example, if you got a 93 on a paper grade and complete an extra credit assignment, you'll receive 100, which means you only get 7 points for that paper. For some people, that's worth it. So anyway, not all of these are very, very taxing, let's just say, to do. So you get the idea. Papers are to be written in the APA format that include a title page and reference page, just like your other papers you've written in here. There is no need for an abstract. All work must be cited. Follow these things. That's how it works. Same thing with all the other ones, right? So I'm not going to read all that. Extra credit 2, research the requirements to become an LCDC. Complete a 2 to 3 page paper that includes the degree needed, all other requirements to obtain licensure, how many and what kind of continuing education credits are needed once the license is obtained. Also include information on IC and RC, NADAC, and TAP. And why are these, what are they, and why are they significant to our license? You may use the websites for these references. Again, you need 3. Textbook can be 1, absolutely. I don't care if it is on this one or not. You can use those websites, NADAC, TAP, DSHS, Department of State Health Services. We call it DSHS. Just put them in a citation machine and cite them appropriately. At this stage of the game, you gotta figure that piece out. It's super simple. To Lone Star has night citation. Look, I'm not running down all that. I've already done all that. You guys should know all that by now. If you don't, reach out to me and go over it. So extra credit 3 is, this one's a good one. Well, they're all good ones, really. The roles of an LCDC may include counselor, group facilitator, educator, case manager, discharge planner, and or client advocate. We're all of those things as LCDCs, right? So I often talk with social workers, and we're all social workers in some way, whether you have an LPC, a social work, because we all, I've said from the jump, we're only as good as our references, right? And our resources. And so we're always referring clients to, whether it be to psychiatrists, to doctors, to other therapists, to education groups, to all sorts of things we need to be aware of, which is why this class is built the way it is. You see how all this stuff kind of works together. But as a LCDC, the individual time you get with the client is the easiest part of the whole job, right? In my opinion. That's where I'm at the most relaxed. That's where I'm solid. I'm in the moment. Like it's super easy, right? It's the paperwork, the client advocate part, the educator, the facilitator, all the things we do as counselors you may not really have considered. It's not just the counseling. That's a minimum piece, honestly, of what we do, right? So keep that in mind. So write a 2 to 3 page paper explaining how all these roles are used by an LCDC. Again, you need to use the APA format. You need to have, I don't list it here, but you need it. If it's not listed, you need 2 references. There's one that's listed 3, and I think I've put that in here somewhere, but yeah, here it is. All work must be cited, and you need 2 references in this one. I think you need 2 in all of them, except for the one that's listed as 3. So this is the one, number 4 now. If you're going to do any of them, I really recommend you do this one, because this one's something you can use and will constantly use in your career. It's create a minimum of a 3-page, which is going to be super easy, comprehensive resource list that includes the Houston area resources for substance use, care, and treatment. This list should include resources for specific populations that includes veterans, disabled individuals, LGBTQIA+, homeless individuals, low-cost, high-end places, faith-based and non-faith-based, gender-specific, professionals, co-occurring, dual diagnosis, self-help. There's your AAs, right? NA, SMART. Cultural preferences, people with high suicidal ideation. These are the resources you will need and you will use. This list should be comprehensive, meaning it should cover a range of care options that include any number of the following, but not limited to: SUD treatment centers, mental health facilities, psychologists, psychiatrists, individual therapists, groups, self-help groups, medical doctors, call centers, etc. You don't need a title page or a reference page or any of that. Do not use double spacing here. This is the only paper I'm going to ever tell you, don't use double spacing here. Below is an example of how you should be presented. So, and your first resources, which is my counseling practice, right? This is how I want your counseling, your references to be, not double space. Because if you double space it, you're only going to get 3 on each page, and I want more than that. So single space it. This is the information. We don't need a whole paragraph on what they do. Just a little note for you to make. Hey, Dan's a therapist licensed in both Texas and Florida. Specializes in SUD care. Dan performs interventions all over the United States. Here's my contact information, my address, my licensure, my counseling practice name. That is how I want them listed, right? This is something for you. I created one of these years ago. Yeah, I've updated it a million times, changed people. People moved off, or I used different people. I use this regularly. So you will use this throughout your career. So if you're only going to do one, even if you don't do one for a grade, I encourage you to really create this list. Where do you find these things? I'm going to leave that to you. If you want to talk about that, we can talk about it. I would tell you that I'll give you a hint for therapists. Psychology Today is a great resource. If you're not familiar with Psychology Today, look up Psychology Today. You'll find my listing on there. You'll find many therapists advertise on there throughout the United States, right? So it's a good listing. Eventually, one day, if you go to private practice, you'll have an advertisement on Psychology Today, potentially. Some people don't. Some people don't need it, right? But pay attention. That is how I want it. If you have to pay attention to these guidelines, because if you give me one of these double space, you're going to lose a ton of points, right? Like, so it's just not necessary. Pay attention to the detail. Lastly, number 5. A lot of people like this one because I leave it to you, right? Number 5 is present me with an idea for extra credit. Present this professor with your idea for an extra credit worth up to 50 points. And if it's approved, you do the assignment and collect the points. Remember, same thing though. If you say I'm going to write a paragraph about something, I'm going to tell you no right now, right? You got to stay within these guidelines, but you present me an extra credit assignment that's meaningful to you. I've only not approved, I think, 2 over the last 5 years, right? So 4 or 5 years, whatever it's been. It's only been a couple that I've not approved. And because it's been minimal, keep within this framework, follow these guidelines. And man, you can do as many of these as you want. Now, I will say this. Please, please, please don't harass me about putting the grades in, because extra credit is just that. It's extra. It's not part of this coursework. I'll get to it when I get to it, right? Meaning, don't worry. If you turn it in, I have record of it. You'll submit it just like you do anything else in D2L. You'll click the EC number 5, number 4, click it. You'll turn it in right there. You'll automatically get like a 1.25 points because it made me put a point value in. So you'll get a free 1.5 right away, but big deal, right? I get it. But I will get these added. So another thing you need to know about these, you have until the very last week of school to do them, meaning the last week, you can't turn 5 of these in. I won't accept them. It's not fair to me to have to grade 100 of these things, and when school's wrapping up, that's not how it works. So start working on them if you want to do them. I promise you, if you do them, you'll get the points on some assignment, and you'll get it quickly. But just know that it may take me a little while. Like you gotta admit, I'm on top of the grading. I get the grading done quick for you because I know that's important. But this is different. This is extra. It's on the side. I'll get to it when I get to it. If it's turned in, I assure you, I will get your grade in as soon as you need it. Right? Meaning, if there's already an assignment, my hope is I wait to see where I can add the most points. Right? That's kind of the thing there. So guys, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. As always, whether it's about extra credit, whether it's about anything, get those grades up how you want them. Be paying attention to your point totals. Super important as we get ready to engage in the second half of this semester. It's going to go quick. You got one more meeting to go to. I talked about that in my last video, and 2 more papers, one on the meeting, and then the last paper you have here is super simple. It's not, there's no, I don't even think I make you use resources on that last one. It's just a personal reflection paper. But anyway, we'll talk more about that coming up. My point is this last half's going to fly. So I look forward to engaging in these things, getting into the treatment setups and whatnot. And if you want to do extra credit, there it is. And guys, we'll talk soon.